When people talk about improving their health, they almost always start with diet and exercise. Eat better, move more, and you'll feel better. And yeah, those things matter. But there's this one pillar of health that often gets ignored until it's already falling apart: sleep. And not just any sleep, but deep, natural, restorative sleep. The kind where you wake up feeling like your whole body has been recharged overnight. The kind where you don't need 3 cups of coffee just to make it through the morning. The kind that leaves you feeling sharper, calmer, and more alive. But here's the problem. Most of us aren't getting that kind of sleep anymore. We've traded it for late night scrolling, binge watching, working overtime, or just lying in bed while our minds replay every single thing we could have done differently that day. And when we do finally crash, it's often restless, light, and interrupted. Then we wake up groggy, reaching for caffeine, and the cycle starts all over again. I've been there, and I can tell you, it's exhausting in every way. What I've learned, though, is that natural sleep isn't just a luxury for people with no stress and perfect schedules. It's something we can all cultivate, no matter what's going on in our lives. And once you figure out how to work with your body instead of against it, sleep stops being this unpredictable battle and starts being something you can actually look forward to. That's what this guide is about. We're going to walk through not just the quick fixes, but the whole picture. How to set up your days, your evenings, your environment, and your mindset so that natural, healthy sleep becomes your default. And I promise, it's not about adding a ton of complicated steps to your life. In fact, a lot of what I'll share is about simplifying, clearing out the noise, the clutter, the habits that keep your brain on high alert when it should be winding down. One of the first things we need to get straight is that sleep is not just resting. It's active. Your brain is busy all night, sorting memories, processing emotions, repairing tissues, balancing hormones. It's like the night shift in your body, quietly doing all the essential maintenance so you can function at your best. And when you cut that shift short or keep it from doing its job properly, you pay for it. You pay for it in your mood, your focus, your physical health. That's why when I finally started taking my sleep seriously, my energy went up, my patience got longer, and even my workouts felt easier. It's all connected. But I didn't get here overnight. I started with small changes, and I want to share them with you the same way I learned them, layer by layer, building a solid foundation. Think of it like building a house. You can buy the fanciest furniture, the best appliances, but if the foundation is cracked, nothing's going to sit right. The foundation for natural sleep starts with your body clock, your circadian rhythm. This is the internal timer that runs on roughly a 24-hour cycle, controlling when you feel awake and when you feel sleepy. The problem is, modern life throws this rhythm completely out of sync. Late-night screens, indoor lighting, irregular mealtimes, stress, all of it confuses your internal clock. The good news? You can reset it. And when you do, everything else about your sleep gets easier. For me, the first step was light. Light is the single biggest cue your brain uses to set your circadian rhythm. Bright, natural light in the morning tells your brain, it's time to wake up. And darkness in the evening tells it, it's time to wind down. Before I learned this, I used to wake up, make coffee, and sit in a dim kitchen for hours. My brain was basically still in nighttime mode. Now, I make it a point to get outside within the first hour of waking, even if it's just for 10 minutes. And at night, I do the opposite. I dim the lights, switch to warmer tones, and cut back on screen time. That one change alone started making a difference in how easily I fell asleep. Another part of the foundation is movement. Your body was designed to be active during the day, and that activity helps set you up for rest at night. I'm not saying you have to hit the gym for 2 hours. Even a short walk, some stretching, or light activity around the house can help. The key is to move enough to burn off that restless energy, but not so much that you're overstimulated right before bed. And then there's food. Your eating pattern sends signals to your body too. Big, heavy meals right before bed can make it harder to sleep because your body's busy digesting instead of relaxing. But going to bed hungry can keep you awake as well. I've found that a light, balanced dinner a few hours before bed works best, and if I need something later, I go for a small, sleep-friendly snack like a banana or a handful of almonds. As you start putting these foundational pieces in place, light, movement, food, you'll notice that the rest of your sleep habits start falling into place more easily. You're not forcing sleep anymore. You're making it the natural next step at the end of your day. And that's when we can start layering in the other strategies, the calming rituals, the natural remedies, the mindset shifts that take your sleep from okay to amazing. I remember talking to a guy named Mark at a coffee shop one morning. He was standing in line ahead of me, yawning like he hadn't slept in days, and joking with the barista that his morning coffee was basically his life support. We ended up sitting at the same table, and I asked him about his sleep. He told me he had tried everything, cutting back on caffeine, going to bed earlier, even expensive blackout curtains, but nothing seemed to help. When I asked him about his mornings, he said he usually woke up, made coffee, and immediately sat down at his computer in his home office, barely seeing daylight until lunchtime. And right there, I knew part of his problem. I explained how light exposure in the morning resets your circadian rhythm, and that without it, his body's internal clock might be lagging behind. I suggested something simple. Before touching his laptop, just step outside for 10 minutes with his coffee, maybe walk around the block, or even just stand on the porch. A couple of weeks later, he emailed me saying he was falling asleep faster at night without even changing anything else. That's the thing. Sometimes the biggest shifts start with the smallest habits. I've also seen the opposite problem. My friend Emily works late into the evening, and when she finishes, she'll blast the kitchen lights, watch a couple of intense TV episodes, then scroll her phone in bed. She kept telling me, "I just can't turn my brain off at night." I told her she wasn't giving her brain a chance to switch gears. She was basically telling her body it was still daytime all the way up until she tried to sleep. Once she started dimming her lights an hour before bed and switching to softer activities, like reading a book or taking a warm shower, she said it felt like her body was finally getting the memo that it was time to wind down. And that's what this guide is about. Understanding that natural sleep isn't one magic remedy. It's the result of dozens of little signals you send your body throughout the day. Those signals tell your brain when to be alert, when to relax, and when to let go. If those signals are mixed, your body gets confused. But if you're consistent, your body starts to respond automatically. Another foundational piece is your sleep schedule. I know it sounds boring and restrictive, but it's not about being rigid. It's about giving your body a reliable rhythm. Think about it. When you were a kid, You probably had a bedtime, and your parents stuck to it. That wasn't just to keep you out of trouble. It was to help your body learn when to expect sleep. As adults, we throw that out the window, staying up late some nights, going to bed early others, and wondering why we can't fall asleep easily. I'm not saying you have to be in bed at 10 p.m. every night for the rest of your life, but picking a general window and sticking to it most nights can train your body to get sleepy at the right time. And if you combine that with a gentle wake-up routine in the morning, you start to create this steady wave of energy during the day and calm at night. And let's not forget the role of stress. You can have the perfect light exposure, the right meal timing, and a consistent schedule. But if your stress is through the roof, your body's going to stay on high alert. That's why part of building the foundation for natural sleep is finding ways to release that stress before you even get to bedtime. For me, that's light exercise, journaling, or spending a few minutes in quiet prayer or meditation. For someone else, it might be stretching, deep breathing, or just talking to a friend. The point is to give your mind and body an outlet before you ask them to rest. When all of these pieces come together, light, movement, eating patterns, stress release, you're setting the stage for better sleep without even touching the more targeted remedies. It's like prepping the soil before planting a garden. Once the foundation is healthy, the things you add on top, like herbal teas, calming scents, or bedtime routines, work so much better. And that's why in the next parts of this guide, we'll go deeper into those specific tools and how to combine them in a way that fits your life, so you can start not only sleeping better, but waking up with more energy and focus than you've had in years. One of the first natural tools I want to dig into is creating a wind-down routine. I know it sounds simple, but this one habit can completely transform the way you fall asleep. Think about it. Your whole day, your brain is in go mode. You're making decisions, solving problems, processing information, reacting to texts and emails. Then suddenly at night, you expect it to just shut off like a light switch. But our brains don't work that way. They need a transition, a gentle slide from alert to restful. That's what a wind-down routine gives you. For me, it starts about an hour before I want to be in bed. I dim the lights, put my phone in another room, and pick something calming to do. Sometimes it's sipping chamomile tea while listening to soft instrumental music. Sometimes it's stretching or reading a book. The activity itself isn't as important as the consistency. When you repeat the same steps every night, your brain starts to connect those actions with sleep. Over time, you don't even have to think about it. Your body starts to relax the moment you begin the routine. One of my favorite parts of that routine is tea. I know I've mentioned it before, but herbal tea is one of the easiest and most enjoyable sleep aids out there. Chamomile is the classic, but I also love valerian root for deeper relaxation, lavender tea for its calming scent, or lemon balm for a light, soothing effect. It's not just about the ingredients, it's about the ritual of brewing, holding the warm mug, and taking slow sips. It forces you to slow down, which is exactly what you need before bed. Another natural tool I rely on is scent. Aromatherapy is powerful because our sense of smell is directly connected to the brain's emotional center. The moment you inhale a calming scent like lavender, cedarwood, or sandalwood, it starts sending signals to your nervous system to relax. I keep a diffuser by my bed and sometimes add a drop of lavender oil to my pillow. Even on stressful nights, that scent helps me feel anchored. Temperature also plays a big role in natural sleep. Our body temperature naturally drops as we get ready to sleep, and you can help that process along. I keep my bedroom cooler, around 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit, and use a blanket that feels cozy without overheating me. Sometimes I'll take a warm shower before bed, which temporarily raises my body temperature, so when I step out, it drops and triggers that sleepy feeling. And speaking of the bedroom, your sleep environment matters more than most people realize. You want it to be dark, quiet, and free from distractions. Blackout curtains can block street lights, and a simple white noise machine or even a fan can mask little sounds that might wake you up. Your bed should be a place you look forward to getting into, not a place you associate with work or stress. That means no laptops in bed, no endless scrolling, and no tense conversations right before you turn out the light. There's also the role of gentle movement. Light stretching or yoga before bed can work wonders. I have a short routine I do almost every night. It's not about exercise, it's about loosening the muscles in my neck, shoulders, and back. It's amazing how much physical tension we carry without even realizing it, and releasing that makes it so much easier to get comfortable in bed. And then there's breathing. Deep, slow breathing is one of the fastest ways to tell your nervous system to switch from fight or flight to rest and digest. My go-to is the 4-7-8 method. In through the nose for a count of 4, hold for 7, out through the mouth for 8. By the third round, I can feel my heart rate slowing and my body melting into the mattress. None of these tools are complicated or expensive, and that's the beauty of them. They work because they align with how your body is naturally wired. When you combine them, dim lights, calming tea, relaxing scent, cooler temperature, gentle stretching, deep breathing, you're stacking the odds in your favor. Sleep stops feeling like something you have to chase and starts feeling like the natural next step. And that's exactly what we want. Because the goal here isn't just to fall asleep. It's to create a pattern your body can trust, night after night. I remember a woman named Laura who came to one of my wellness workshops. She was a single mom, juggling work and kids, and she told me she felt like sleep was just something she'd get more of someday, when life slowed down. She'd fall into bed exhausted, but still toss and turn for hours, waking up groggy and relying on coffee to keep going. I asked her to try just 2 changes, dimming her lights an hour before bed and drinking a cup of lavender tea while sitting quietly. No phone, no TV, no multitasking. She laughed at first and said, "That's it? That's your big advice?" But she tried it anyway. 2 weeks later, she came back to the group with this huge smile and said, "I can't believe how much difference that made. I'm actually sleepy when I get into bed now." She told me it wasn't just the tea, it was the whole act of slowing down, letting her body shift gears instead of crashing straight from high-speed mode into bed. Then there's my neighbor, James. He's one of those guys who always seems to have a project going. Fixing up his car, painting the fence, building something in his garage. He used to tell me he'd fall asleep on the couch watching TV, then wake up in the middle of the night and not be able to get back to sleep. I suggested he try setting a specific bedtime routine, even if it was just 20 minutes. He started taking a warm shower, doing a few stretches, and turning on a white noise machine when he got into bed. Within a month, he said he wasn't falling asleep on the couch anymore, and his middle-of-the-night wake-ups were way less frequent. The common thread with both Laura and James, and honestly, with most people I've seen make real changes, isn't that they found one magical trick. It's that they committed to a small set of calming habits and did them consistently. Your brain learns through repetition. The more you repeat the same signals, the stronger the association becomes, until your body starts anticipating sleep as soon as you begin the routine. That's the real power of natural sleep strategies. They're not a one-time fix, they're a long-term shift. And the thing is, once you start feeling the benefits, it's addictive in the best way. You want to keep going because you notice you're more patient with your family, you're more focused at work, and you actually have energy left at the end of the day for things you enjoy. And that's why I tell people, start small, but start now. Even if all you do tonight is dim the lights and put your phone away 30 minutes before bed, you're taking a step toward retraining your body. Do that long enough, and before you know it, you won't just be sleeping better. You'll be living better. Here's something most people don't realize. Good sleep doesn't start at night. It starts the moment you wake up. Everything you do from morning to bedtime is shaping how well you're going to rest later. That means if you want truly natural, restorative sleep, you can't just focus on the last hour before bed. You've got to look at your whole day. For me, mornings are like the launch pad. If I start the day in a way that supports my body's natural rhythm, I'm setting myself up for better energy during the day and smoother sleep at night. That's why I try to get sunlight as soon as possible after waking. It doesn't have to be fancy. I might step outside with my coffee, walk to the end of the driveway, or even just sit by an open window with the light streaming in. That light hitting your eyes is like a reset button for your body clock. It tells your brain, it's daytime now. And that message helps you feel more alert during the day and naturally more tired when the sun goes down. Movement is the second big piece. I don't always have time for a full workout in the morning, but I make sure I move somehow, stretching, walking, or even doing chores around the house. Our bodies were built to be active, and when you give them that activity, you're also burning off the stress and tension that might keep you up at night. It's like you're setting up a healthy tiredness for later, the kind that makes your pillow feel irresistible. Another thing I've learned is that what you eat during the day can make or break your sleep at night. If I load up on sugar and heavy greasy foods, I feel sluggish and restless later. If I keep my meals balanced, lean proteins, whole grains, plenty of vegetables, and healthy fats, I feel more steady. And when it comes to caffeine, I'm strict with myself. I love coffee, but I cut it off by late morning because caffeine can linger in your system for hours. If you're still sipping coffee or energy drinks in the afternoon, you might be sabotaging your own sleep without realizing it. Stress management is another huge factor. I've had days where I let stress pile up, and by bedtime, my mind feels like a spinning wheel I can't shut off. The trick is not to wait until you're in bed to start calming down. I take little mental breaks during the day, 5 minutes to step outside, stretch, or just breathe deeply. Sometimes I'll jot down thoughts in a notebook so they're not rattling around in my head. Those mini resets help keep my stress from boiling over at night. And here's something that's made a surprisingly big difference: limiting overstimulation in the evening. That means not just avoiding work emails, but also being mindful about what kind of entertainment I consume. Watching a fast-paced, intense movie right before bed used to leave me tossing and turning. Now I save that stuff for earlier in the evening and switch to something lighter or more calming later. The goal is to let my mind start shifting toward rest before I even hit the bedroom. All of this works together. When you get morning light, move your body, eat in a way that supports your energy, manage stress throughout the day, and keep your evenings calm, you're not forcing sleep. You're making it the natural outcome. And the best part is, these habits don't just help your nights, they make your days better too. You wake up more refreshed, which makes it easier to make good choices, which in turn makes it easier to sleep well again. It's a positive cycle that keeps building on itself. I remember talking to my friend Kevin about this exact thing. He used to be one of those guys who thought sleep was just about shutting your eyes when you were tired. His days were all over the place, sleeping in on weekends, skipping breakfast, spending most of his daylight hours indoors at his desk, and then wondering why he was wide awake at midnight. One morning, I convinced him to try something different. I told him, don't change everything, just change your morning. So for a month, he committed to waking up at the same time every day, stepping outside for 10 minutes within the first hour, and walking around the block. That was it. By the second week, he told me, it's weird, I'm actually tired earlier now. By the end of the month, he was falling asleep without lying in bed for hours, and he didn't feel like he was dragging himself through the day anymore. Then there's Lisa, who runs her own bakery. Her days start early, and by mid-afternoon, she used to crash so hard she'd grab an extra-large coffee just to make it through closing. Of course, that coffee would keep her buzzing until late at night, and the cycle continued. When I suggested cutting caffeine after 11 a.m., she looked at me like I was crazy. But she tried it, and instead of coffee, she had a small snack with protein and healthy fats around 3 p.m. The first few days were rough, but then she started sleeping deeper and waking up before her alarm, feeling rested for the first time in years. The funny part? She told me she actually got more done during the day because she wasn't fighting the caffeine jitters or that late-night insomnia anymore. And then there's Alex, a college student I met at a workshop. His problem wasn't just sleep. It was stress. Classes, assignments, social life. It all piled up in his head. He told me that no matter how tired he was, his mind would just keep spinning at night. I gave him one simple rule: take 3 5-minute mental breaks during the day. No phone, no talking, just breathing, stretching, or sitting quietly outside. He started doing it between classes, and within a week, he noticed that his evenings felt less tense. He was still busy, but he wasn't carrying all that mental clutter into bed. These stories have one thing in common. They prove that what you do in the daylight hours is just as important as what you do at night. You can't expect your body to go from chaos to calm instantly. You have to guide it there, step by step, starting from the moment you open your eyes in the morning. And the beauty of it is, you don't have to overhaul your entire life at once. You can start with one thing: morning light, cutting afternoon caffeine, taking a few mental breaks, and build from there. The changes add up, and before long, you're not just sleeping better, you're living with more energy, more clarity, and more ease. The most important thing to remember about building better sleep is that it's not a race, and it's not about perfection. You're not going to have flawless sleep every single night, and that's okay. Life will throw curveballs, stressful days, unexpected events, travel, late nights with friends, and sometimes your sleep will be off. But the difference, once you've built these habits, is that you'll know how to bounce back. You'll have a toolkit you can rely on. For me, when I hit one of those nights where my brain just won't shut down, I don't panic anymore. I don't stare at the clock, counting the hours until morning. Instead, I get up, keep the lights low, maybe make a small cup of herbal tea, do some gentle breathing, or just sit quietly with a book until my eyes get heavy again. I treat it as a temporary detour, not a disaster. That mindset alone changes everything, because stress about not sleeping is one of the biggest reasons people can't fall asleep. And here's the other thing. Consistency is your best friend. The more you stick with your natural sleep habits, the easier it is for your body to find its rhythm again after a rough night. It's like muscle memory for your sleep. You can take a short break, but the moment you come back to your routine, your body remembers what to do. Another key is staying flexible. There will be seasons of life where your sleep needs or schedule change, and that's normal. Maybe you have a newborn, maybe you switch jobs, maybe you move to a new place with different noise and light. Instead of giving up, you adapt. You figure out which habits are non-negotiable for you. Maybe it's your evening wind down, maybe it's your morning sunlight, and you hold on to those, even if everything else shifts for a while. Over time, you'll notice that good sleep isn't just something you do, it becomes part of who you are. You stop thinking of it as a problem to fix, and start thinking of it as a natural part of a healthy life. And that's when you see the real magic, not just in how you sleep, but in how you live. Your mood is steadier, your energy lasts longer, your relationships feel easier because you're not running on empty. You start looking forward to your mornings instead of dragging yourself through them. That's what natural sleep gives you. It's not just about closing your eyes, it's about opening your life back up. So if you've been struggling, I want you to know this. Your body hasn't forgotten how to sleep. It still knows exactly what to do. You just have to give it the right conditions, the right signals, and the time to relearn the rhythm. Start small, stay consistent, and trust that every little choice you make is moving you closer to the nights you've been dreaming about. You deserve to wake up feeling rested, clear-headed, and ready to take on your day. And you have the power to make that your reality. One night, one habit, one choice at a time.